What's up, everybody? Here we are. We are live, and it is noon. We're with Emily and Cory, and we're going to talk about graphic design. We're going to talk about Audion. We're going to talk about all kinds of fun stuff.
Hola.
Hey, guys.
Hey.
Yeah, I guess, Cory, you want to start us off? You want to tell me and everybody else a little bit about yourself? Yeah, you.
My name's Cory, and I'm a graphic designer, and I work with Audion. I've known Ben probably longer than anyone else on our team, I think. I was his first employee as far as contract jobs, just doing freelance with him. We met under the pretense of making music together, but that didn't really pan out.
Okay.
But then we became neighbors.
But it was
Yeah,
networking.
hippie Austin days.
Okay, cool.
90s, late 90s.
What year was that?
No, not
90s?
That was in the
quite. I guess
90s?
early 2000s. Probably, how old is
You guys are
Gavin, my
old.
son? He's 21.
World.
So I met Ben probably 22 years ago.
Okay. Where was did you guys go see some music together? What was the
Yeah,
first club you guys
I
went
don't
to
think we
together to see
did
music at?
ever, still to this day. Yeah.
Really? Because he likes metal and
I
you
mean, I don't
don't?
hate metal. I wasn't interested in really making metal music at the time. I was more into the post-punk noise, art rock stuff. But
Yeah.
trying to think, oh no, definitely we were at some shows together, or at the same shows, I should say. We didn't necessarily arrive together. I remember seeing Shellac at Emo's a long time ago. R.I.P. Steve Albini. He just died recently.
He used to
He's
have
a
a
big Shellac
shellac
fan. That was
poster
what he mentioned
in
in the Austin Chronicle ad. That was the main band that I was like, oh, I like Shellac.
Okay.
And that's how we met initially. Yeah.
That's how we
It's
meet.
Austin.
That's how we meet people. Emily, how'd you meet? How'd you meet Ben?
I met Ben through a buddy of mine who went to the same college as me, and I did freelance work for him and it just kind of stuck around. We moved into an office on the east side eventually. That was 2008
So that's like
when I
early
met
days
him.
of Audion?
Yeah, really Audion.
Okay,
And
what was that
so,
like?
yeah.
So you guys were like on the east side. What kind of work were you guys doing back then?
We were doing a lot of little design jobs and some print jobs and logo design. And then we started doing websites and more websites and eventually transitioned to more to events and then
Okay.
design that supports events and branched off into more AV, which is more your side of the team.
Yeah, AV and then like just straight up video production.
Right.
And so like what's it like for both of you to kind of gone from that transition where you're kind of a graphics and audio based company to now you're graphics supporting video production?
I like it.
How's that
It's
been?
been fun. I did some animation with Flash ages ago. I don't think Flash really even exists anymore. And so now these days I'm tapping back into the motion design stuff with After Effects, and I'm having a good time with it. It's fun. I like it. I felt like I've always sort of
Emily?
animated even logos that I'm working on, like in my head, even though it wasn't really feasible. Like no one was doing little animated logos at the time. But for some reason, like the way my brain would develop logos, it was always sort of this, evolving thing. I don't know, hard to explain exactly, but yeah, I'm enjoying it.
I think that's one reason why I like working with Cory, because I love to do the technical layout print stuff. And he really loves motion graphics. He likes web a little more than I do. So I feel like we both have our strengths and kind of play off each other on that.
Yeah. I mean, you're both incredibly creative. I've seen all of your creative stuff that you do. Emily, you do all the stuff for Modern Quilt Guild, right? Or some of it?
Not all of it, but yeah, I do work on their things.
That's cool. And then what drew you guys into a career of graphic design in the first place?
I don't know. For me, it just seemed like the natural path. Oddly enough, my mom was a painter growing up, and she doesn't do that anymore, but always kind of pushed me in that direction. I drew a lot and whatever. I was probably messing with oil paints like by the time I was, I don't know, 7 or 8, as soon as she realized I wouldn't make a mess of everything. So I've just kind of always had that knack of drawing things and being known as the dude that draws things and whatever. But when I went off to college, I went to UT Austin. And at the time, this is 91, I'm ancient. They didn't have any computer aided design courses. I applied at Pratt and actually got in, but my parents were like, no fucking way are you going to New York. But I wanted to do computer A to design. I mean, at the time, it was sort of groundbreaking and professional only. So at UT, there was only a Quark class for layout, but I'd been in yearbook in high school and sort of already knew that. And so I was like, whatever. And so I just painted and did screen
Yeah.
printing and, classic fine art nonsense. Stayed in school probably until I was like a junior, middle of my junior year. I was just like, bye. Like, I don't need this anymore. Seemed like a waste of money, and it wasn't
Yeah.
really like what I ultimately wanted to do. And at that point, I was probably like,
Okay.
I don't know, thinking more game design and stuff. But then I went back to ACC because they had a really good visual arts program just to sort of get my head around the software. And I learned how to use Illustrator and Photoshop and Flash and took some traditional animation classes, which was fun but tedious, like hand drawn.
So this is crazy. So like when people are like, "Oh, I can do all this stuff," like you learned. I guess maybe you both did, and I kind of did too. Like you learned video graphic design or like graphic design on computers
Yeah.
at the start of
Yeah.
really when it started
Yes.
happening.
I was in the first Photoshop class at my college. And I remember
Which college did you go to?
I went to Austin College in Sherman, Texas, and I have a fine arts degree. There was no graphics degree at our school, and it was a liberal arts school. And I needed a way to make money, and that's kind of what turned to the more graphic. I mean, I did yearbook also, and obviously took that Photoshop class.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Like Illustrator, I kind of just taught myself how to,
Mm-hmm.
use that, and situations came up, I would learn the software and
Make
yeah,
it till you make it.
That's
That's
cool.
step one
Okay,
for being a graphic designer.
that's
exactly.
me. I know. That's what I was in newspaper and yearbook in high school as
Yes.
well. So I guess all three of us were drawn for whatever
Yeah.
weirdo universe part of high school that is. Like I was
Yeah, for
attracted
sure.
to it as
Team
I
well.
was
yearbook.
more on the photography side in yearbook, but we did have to learn some layout stuff, but I was more of the photo guy, which was fun.
Yeah,
I did
Yeah.
layout and photography.
yeah. I was more drawn to newspaper because I liked like it gave me that access to like interview people and kind of shadow
Mm.
people. So I don't. I mean, I've always been that kind of a weird person where I'm like drawn to, hey, what's going on in your life? Tell me about it.
Harassing people as they exit the
I was good
target.
So
at it.
Brandon showed us that video, by the way, when you guys were like in high school and whatever. It's pretty funny.
I wish we could all watch that together right now.
what? Okay, so tell me about what is it like when our clients approach you with graphic design questions or problems? Like, how do you approach that now after like 20 years of experience? And what are some of the most typical questions you get on a day to day basis?
I was gonna say, just having to be flexible with things is important. A lot of our clients are doing events and selling sponsorships,
Mm-hmm.
and you just have to know that yes, you're gonna, even though even though Corey has just made a website with all of these exhibitors, if somebody gets paid to add one more the day before, we have to be ready to make changes at the last minute as needed.
Yeah,
I can't think of any questions off the top of my head that we generally get asked. It's more,
you're
oh
like
my gosh,
solving
we forgot
problems.
this. Yes, and that's what I love about it is trying to. I love when somebody's like, I have all this information. I need to be concise and readable, and
So
trying to
like
figure
maybe
that out is fun for me.
I always feel like the problem that clients have is they give us too much information and they want everything like in a video or everything on screen. And we have to be like, hey, people don't actually need that much stuff. Like, let's parse this out. Like, is that something that you deal with as well? Kind of like
Yeah.
helping them understand
Yeah.
I
what's
think
important.
I mean, back in the olden days, Ben and I had a logo where this guy wanted, he wanted drums, he wanted the peace sign, he wanted, I can't remember at this point, but it became a joke of how many things we could put into his logo. He wanted an American flag, an eagle, and
Yeah.
yeah, there's a fine line between, yes, we can do that, and no, we shouldn't do that.
I think I
Yeah.
was
Yeah,
going to
for
say that
sure.
I
What were
think
you
with
going to say,
our
Corey?
clients these days, it's about making sure that their branding is consistent when they're presenting their stuff social media wise, any kind of video, whatever. Just like keep it consistent. it's easy to veer off, and all of a sudden
Yeah.
everything's totally random, and that's not good for your branding. No one's going to recognize while they're scrolling through social media.
Mm-hmm. Do you guys have any tips that you give to people about branding? Like, what are some tips you can give people to make their branding graphic design better?
Just consistency, I think, is the main thing. Just keeping your logo visible, colors consistent.
And you don't have to do everything all at once. It doesn't have to be crazy. It can be simple and clean and still have a good message.
Yeah. Okay. That's good. Anything else? Any other tips you got for people out there that are thinking about, like, because I feel like a lot of clients that we have been getting lately are people that are like, they handle a lot of stuff in house, and then they're kind of moving. They're like, hey, we need a little bit more agency help. Like, we need help from you guys as professionals because we don't have these people in house. And like, when people are making that transition, what are some tips you can give them, or any thoughts you have for them?
Well, we have the experience of working with a broad variety of clients, which I think is helpful. As opposed, I have been an in-house designer,
Yeah.
and it gets kind of stale and stagnant working on the same thing over and over again. And I think one viewpoint that we bring is, for example, when we go walk through with a client, Cory and I went on a walkthrough on Monday, and I've done events at that space and can instantly say, oh, here's where we're going to need signage for this. We can look at the event space and make it cohesive with our branding and the look and feel of the event and make it all come together. Whereas when you're working at, not to say that an in-house designer can't do the same, but
look
it
who
just
just
gives us
joined
a
us.
different, oh, it's Ben. What's up? Yay.
We got like
We already
4/8
talked
of
about
Team
you.
Audio on.
Podcast craving.
I can't.
They were kind of giving tips to people as they like move from shifting their like marketing graphic design needs from in-house to like when they hire someone like us to help them out with like because they've grown and they have broader needs.
Yeah. Did you guys? I want to brag on both of them first, though. Did you do origin stories and everything? Like, what'd y'all get? What'd y'all get through?
Everybody that I told
We
her
talked about how
that
we
you
met
wouldn't be in
you.
this business without having met me.
I mean, both of y'all.
Or me.
It's very true. They're not lying. Cory was like the first contractor I ever hired, and we were doing
Totally
random brochures and like anything we could get our hands on. And then Emily was the first full-time hire, and her and I officed together for, I don't know,
Years.
8 years together, just the two of us. It's crazy. Doing websites, doing brochures, doing logos, doing whatever. And then we bring Cory in on illustration gigs forever. For the longest time, he was a contractor forever. So these two guys have like literally have been here since the beginning, since the inception, and helped build the company. So
That's
they
incredible.
should get some credit for that. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Team Audion.
Yeah. They're awesome. But yes, what was your question, Trey? Because I feel like I had an answer.
It was really like I feel like a lot of people that are contacting us about work lately, it's because they're shifting marketing needs from in-house and hiring people like us to help them. And so
so these guys, what's funny is over the last couple of years, I've turned over a lot of control, like the direct client contact to them, where I'll get out of the loop on stuff. But it wasn't always like that. I used to always be kind of the first line of defense with a client, and still to some days I'll step in to do that. And if we're bidding new jobs, I will. But what happens is people have small staffs and they don't have designers on staff. And so they're either like outsourcing stuff to Fiverr, or they've got someone that kind of knows Canva, or someone that maybe knows a little bit of Photoshop, and they're trying to put that stuff together. And so they're really struggling with putting together good, consistent content. And then we come in and do some production for them, or do something like, whoa, this was really good. And they'll be like, oh, can you help us with this? Can you help us with that? And then Cory and Emily get a hold of them and show them what really good design looks like, and what stuff with someone who knows what they're doing. And then they start seeing results from that, right? Like the CEO notices, or like somebody else notices, like, that was amazing. Like, where did that come from? So you're making them look really good. Now you've become kind of their back office, where they can just offload stuff to you either on hourly or month, however you're doing it. And it ends up being like a really good deal for everybody involved. At the end of the day, it saves the client a ton of money and time. Unless you can hire a full-time graphic designer, your only real option to getting good design is to outsource to people that have, I mean, I'm sure y'all talked experience. Like, these guys have been doing this their whole life.
I know it's amazing to hear him talk about like they were learning on the initial setups of these product lines that we use, like Cork Express,
I
which
think that
what did
Cork
that
is
turn into?
InDesign.
Is that like into?
I think it's still around. Is it?
Yeah.
Isn't
I thought it
Cork
was still
isn't
around.
Cork InDesign? I think Adobe bought it and it
But
turned into InDesign. I'm serious.
Maybe so. Also, we are having construction on the office right now, so if you hear like banging, that's what's going on. We got guys shoring up the studio underneath. So I'm sorry for the noise.
it's still around according to
Really?
the Googles.
Maybe I made that
Yeah.
up.
Okay. But I
Hanging
feel like, yeah,
on. It's
everyone
hanging
shifted.
on.
Yeah. I don't know anybody that uses Cork anymore.
But I want to point out a couple of things about for us, like one of the benefits for us being a production company and having in-house design, like what that really means to these projects and stuff, because we're not having to push that stuff out. Like we're able to take it in-house. So like Cory and Emily go on site. If we're doing broadcast from events, they're there.
That's true.
They see the place. So like if they're doing signage, if they're doing wayfinding, if they're doing environmental, if they're like, where are you broadcasting from? This room, cool. Where are people coming in from?
Yeah, you guys will even see the screens and be like, "Oh, that's a different size screen than normal."
I mean, they
Like
see
it
stuff that we don't see. They see stuff that
Yeah.
the client wouldn't see. It's a totally different way of thinking and putting stuff together, and really helps to like bring all of that stuff together. And having people that have an eye for design and do that is huge.
There's even been a few times, like apart from the graphic design that you see on screen, where you guys have walked into venues and you'll be like, "Oh, this is actually going to be pretty confusing to get to the room where people need to be to see the videos." And you're like, "What if we put something on this column and this sign?" And it's like you even help people in the traffic flow to
Crazy.
get to the place they're supposed to get to, and it makes it so much nicer. I agree.
Yeah, they're on it.
I've also done some event work in my prior life as well.
Yeah, Emily, what you were Emily was an event manager for Texas
I was a
Association of
communications
Broadcasters.
manager
Sorry,
was my official
communications manager.
title. But
Who's
yeah, I worked on the events as well.
who's now a client. Like we do work for
Right.
them, which is crazy. So full circle, you know?
Yeah. The other thing I would say is that's really nice about working with you and Cory directly, Emily, is that it's just so nice to be like, get off the phone with the client and then immediately call you up and be like, "Hey, this is what we're thinking about." And you guys are like very quickly, "Here's the solution," or "Here's how we can do this." As someone who like 2 years ago was having to juggle like a bunch of different people to do graphic design for the videos I would do to versus like getting to work with you guys. And then we have like a pretty consistent design style for each client. I'm not having to like re-educate people. You guys have like the history, all the projects are in one space that we can all access. It's great.
Yeah, that's a huge benefit to clients. If y'all didn't cover that, that's like that. The consistency alone and like the brand management is something most people don't have in house. And Emily, you've been doing, I mean, some of these clients you've been doing for well over a decade, right? I mean,
Yeah.
we have a client that you do probably, I don't know, 50 print brochures a year for every event they do. Plus, then Cory's doing all of the motion graphics for their lower thirds. And so all that stuff is super consistent across every medium that they use and looks really, really good. So that's a huge thing. That's a huge thing that's hard to have in-house. You have to have you got to have a whole team. And if you don't have that, then you need people that can do it. We should talk a little bit about, I don't know if you have yet, or if you've had any other questions come in, but there's a couple things that I'm super proud of that these guys have done that I don't know if you hit on yet, but did y'all talk about virtual expos or like some of the digital design stuff?
No, we haven't really talked about immersive stuff like that.
Are you interested in getting any of that on this one, Trey? Or is this strictly kind of about just graphics
No,
for video?
I think that would be incredible because that is like something that people always ask about.
So that was, I don't remember the inception, but I remember all three of us, me, Emily, and Cory, worked on that at the beginning to try to figure out a solution during the pandemic for some of these bloated virtual expos out there, and then ended up with a pretty manageable platform. And I don't know, Cory, you may be able to speak better to like, I don't really want to give people the secret sauce of how it works, but like how you and Emily kind of built it out and now how it's kind of managed and how quickly you can turn that stuff. Or do we even want to let people know that you can do it that fast? We probably shouldn't.
It's not
I mean, it takes him months and months for each
it's not really
website.
fast. It's a lot, like I can turn it around quickly, but I basically become a robot and just blaze through it and grind my teeth, like the whole time. But I'm putting in like a lot of time typically to finish them, but sometimes especially during the pandemic, we were pressed and really had to knock stuff out as fast as
Yeah.
possible. Yeah, I mean, it's good hybrid.
We should provide a link. We should provide a link at the end of this to a finished one so people can see what these look like and how they're put together. Because for us, that was a huge value add during the pandemic. And for clients, we don't charge them for that. If you're doing virtual production with us, like if you're doing a broadcast event, we give that to them now. So it's a cool thing to show off.
Okay.
Yeah.
Look at that. I'm learning
Keep
stuff.
those sponsors happy.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And that you should, I don't know, Emily, I don't know if you want to get into that too much, but you had to deal with that a lot with probably on the event management side or the, putting that together, like what the design brings on a level that's not maybe readily apparent to the client immediately, but that kind of showing the sponsors that kind of love.
Yeah.
Like
It's important because you don't want the sponsors to be upset. You want them to be happy. You want them to be like, oh, look, there's my logo on this cool sign.
not pixelated, not like thrown
Right.
together. Yeah. Looks good.
If that means Cory having to redraw a logo or us going back and forth, what's this font?
Yeah, which happens all the time.
Yeah. It's kind of fun. It's kind of fun. That's kind of a fun challenge. I don't know.
Yeah.
Of course, I would love to have all the logos in vector files ready to go, but it's a fun little challenge.
Yeah, but Trey, you've been on the other side of this as a freelancer or as, working as a sole proprietor, like having your own, like we've got people here that can just make it happen, like you're like, I need lower thirds. I need a motion graphic intro for this. I need this. And you've got them right here at your disposal.
It's true. And the other thing is like, I think that like you guys are there, but you're also there and you're like evolving it, because I've noticed that like, for a lot of our clients, we design lower thirds, and then a couple weeks later, Cory, you're like, hey, I actually designed this and it's a lot more useful. It looks better. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. And then all of a sudden they get like better lower thirds and they get better graphic design, and it's cool.
You mean like the lunch logo that Emily's going to redo, the office hours logo she's going to redo that you made?
It's pretty bad, dude. It's pretty bad.
Hey, man.
Just wait.
Yeah.
I made it myself with shapes and After Effects because that's the only way I know how to design stuff.
Can we take a couple minutes while you guys just roast Trey?
What do you think about moving from in-house design to an agency to work on your logo?
I would love that. I feel like I've asked you guys too. And unfortunately, I'm not a paying client. It's kind of a buddy favor. So
yeah, that happens with all audio and graphics.
I think if there's anything that, like, aside from, we were having this conversation this morning. I was talking to Emily about this. We have a couple of clients that I've put together marketing plans for, and I sent out, and I was like, you should be doing more video content. Like, we don't have to produce all of it. You can produce it, put it together, but you need to be advertising. You need to be doing this stuff, and they're doing it. Mm-hmm. But what's happening is they're using, the off the shelf software stuff because they're not editors and because they're not designers. And so everything they put out slightly different, right? It's like they're trying, like they're putting new things in it and it's like they're never sticking with one thing. It's like, oh, well, that looks cool. Let's do that on this one. So then you start seeing that on different platforms and come across, and all of that kind of brand management, all of that reinforcement, all that stuff just is out the window because it looks cool to them. And they're like, cool, let's just put it up. It's great. Well, now you're
cool. I made this, even though it was a template that doesn't match anything else they've done.
So you're just spinning your wheels, putting the stuff out there and just putting more noise into the system, and nobody's really grabbing it because you didn't take the time to like put together a package and like build it out and then stay religious on utilizing those things over and over again. And that's just for us, it's such an easy lift to give somebody something like that and say, even if they want to just use it themselves and not have us put it together. So I don't know. I can't overstate the importance of having in-house design from a business owner's perspective, from a production company's perspective. I cannot imagine ever going back to a place where we had to outsource our design work. We wouldn't be as efficient. We wouldn't be as good at what we do. Our clients wouldn't have as good of results. It wouldn't happen for us. It just wouldn't.
Yeah, especially because we do, I don't know what the right term for it is, but like 360 video design work. Like it's for screens, it's for like your environment, it's for the expo halls, it's for all of these different spaces. It's for social media, it's for YouTube, it's for...
Yeah. And it's always changing when we're doing events. It's live and, somebody can't make it and they change out a speaker and you need new info. Can you imagine having to call and hire somebody to do that on the fly?
Well, it just wouldn't happen.
It wouldn't happen.
Because it's like, realistically, you can't get a contractor usually to give you new graphics same day, like same hour. Hey, this person's not going to be here. But you guys are like, working on other projects and we're in contact with you and we can be like, hey, this person didn't show up. Can you make new lower thirds? I feel like I see that text on our text threads
All the
once a
time.
week. Yeah.
Well, I want to do this. I'm here to hijack this, but let's take a minute to talk about how, specifically from both of them, how they're actively daily making clients easier. And I want to start with Emily, because Emily, you've been doing design work, and there's a specific client I have in mind that we've been doing for a really long time. And you do all of this is how they advertise everything they do, right? They send out these big 4-8 page, full page booklets with like all of the information of every presenter that's on. Talk a little bit about how that process evolved from us being like one of many vendors that they would outsource that to you being kind of the sole point of contact for everything they do, and how you've seen things get more efficient for them.
Well, it's easy. Obviously, I've refined my process to make it more efficient. But there are things when, for example, when one of our clients has a turnover in staff and they have a new person, and I know how things are supposed to be or how they've been in the past, I know what things need to change right away, can get back to them and say, oh, this isn't how we normally do it. If you want me to do it this way, that's fine. But here's how and usually it's because
Yeah, you're the through
they're
line.
new.
Yeah.
What did you say?
I said you're the through line. Like
Yeah.
Right.
you're the consistent piece there. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's helpful.
Yeah, because I don't think people understand, like, if you're working in-house, only getting to work on like one, usually getting to work on for one client creatively is so difficult after a few years.
It's
For whatever,
gets really stale.
yeah, like our creative brains just like atrophy and we're ready for a new challenge.
Yeah.
But like, I feel like that's the advantage of being like however we are an agency that has a lot of different clients. We get to be creative. We get to juggle 10 clients, and that's good for our brains.
I agree. And then Cory, you've made like probably the biggest leap in our, I don't know, like our like quiver of like arrows of like, tools that we have with some of the digital design stuff. You should talk a little bit about the evolution of those expo halls and of like the motion graphics, like what it looked like when you first came on versus what it is now, and the benefit that we've seen from clients, or just some of the, I don't know, there's been some pretty big success stories. And I don't know if you know them as well as I do, because I talk to the clients every single day, but people are like just blown away
I
by
think
the
that
quality of stuff now.
the whole hybrid like web experience, interactive end of it was just created out of necessity during the pandemic, And we were doing those to keep the sponsors active for these conferences. And you guys on the video side were figuring out how to engage people through a live stream when, they were used to going to the hotels and rubbing elbows and doing whatever. This is a way to kind of keep that alive. And then I guess it kept evolving, and we realized that there was a specific little niche of opportunity there with like Ensign and HAL Labs and things with international participation as an option, so people can log in from Japan or France or wherever and be there for the event, take a closer look with the virtual expo to learn a little bit more about the participants. And as far as motion graphics is concerned, I was just kind of pushing that on my end because I was enjoying learning and tampering with After Effects more and more, because I learned Flash in the past and kind of left that behind. It was fun, but I didn't really have any need for it. And then because on the video production side has grown so much, just put myself to use using After Effects and
And the perceived value that stuff adds, I can't tell you. Like I'm sure you've seen this, Trey, like on the live events, just going from like static lower thirds to motion lower thirds, and then going from, animated title slides, pushing that stuff. Like it's just, the clients, like you might as well just show them sliced bread for the first time. They're just like blown away because it's these, look, let's be real honest here. All of us, like 90% of the stuff we do, it's not super exciting for us. Like, it's like not what we would do. It's a lot of continuing education. It's a lot of industrial video stuff, but it's very important. It's very important to these clients. And when you can give them that little bit of
adds a
pizzazz,
polish to everything.
like, man, they get stoked on it, and it makes them look great.
Everybody that we work with is typically a creative person in an industrial role.
Right.
And so, yeah, everybody's like, oh, that's cool. That's cool. We all like cool stuff.
Yeah.
So
we all like to look good. Everybody likes to look good,
It's true.
Yeah. I don't know. It's funny that you're talking to them because these are two of the people that have been around the longest. Like before the video side of what we do got to the level that it's at, there was a lot of other stuff happening. I mean, a lot of web development, that we did a lot of graphic design, we did a lot of logo stuff, we did a lot of print. And it's funny how that all has changed now to where these guys are really supporting the production side more. But I think without that arc, like we wouldn't be
We're the
as effective
glue.
as we
We're
are.
the glue.
I don't think
Emily
if
and
we
I
would
are
have,
the glue.
I mean, really, if we wouldn't have started where we did, like we wouldn't be
Yeah.
able
Or the
to be
paint.
doing it the way we could.
Puffy paint.
It's awesome. I'm
Yeah, it
super
is.
proud of it. I mean, for me, it's like one of the biggest talking points when I go talk to clients about, what we do and how we can help them. It's not like anybody can work a camera. Anybody can, come on. You know what I mean? You can train almost anybody to work a camera. Obviously not to the level of
Even me.
some of the stuff that we're doing,
Even that guy.
but this kind of experience just it's a whole different thing, and it brings a whole nother dimension to all of the stuff that we produce. And it's pretty awesome to have.
Yeah, I agree. It's really cool. It's one of my favorite parts of working at Audion is working with you two, because not only are you great designers, but you're really wonderful people. I enjoy talking to each of you a lot.
We have a pretty cool team.
Mm-hmm.
That's fun.
I mean, Team Audion's kind of cool.
What do y'all
Pretty
see? What do you guys see? Like, what's next? Like, Cory, do you have? I mean, we're working on some stuff. You want to talk about kind of like what we're working on for clients on the back end of some of this stuff that's going to make things a little bit
On
easier?
the virtual expo. Yeah, it was kind of a struggle. That was the really time consuming, kind of aggravating part, was getting info from, anywhere from 8 to 32 different companies that are sponsors or participating in the event or whatever. I mean, it's a lot of,
Pitch event.
emailing and, hey, do you have, whatever other PDFs or, whatever better version of your logo. But now what I'm doing is working on a back end kind of form so that it's just all explained and really easy, and people can sit down and step by step upload everything and get us where we need to be a lot quicker. Hopefully without, the time suck and, battling for people's attention that I had to go through. Is that, you're talking about that?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like this is like you're downplaying it a lot, but this is a super important thing. Like this
Eh,
is something that we have this thing for clients that's given to them that they can use to help support their sponsors and to help support people that support them. That's like a non-dues revenue kind of generating thing. Also for these
and it
pitch
takes the
events, for all that,
client out of it.
it takes the
The client
client,
has one less thing to do
their
when
time's
they're
out of it.
already deep into event planning.
And you're making it super efficient for all those people that you have to contact now. So like if they've got 30 sponsors, Cory's like, hey man, here's the upload link where you're going to want to send everything, drop your stuff in here. And this was something that, we didn't have to create. We could just say, hey, if you want to use this, you need to get us all this information. But going that extra step to say, hey, look, this could be better. Let me make it easier for you to do that. We're not making any extra money off that. It doesn't, you know what I mean? It was like, this was a brainchild that is really close to fruition now. That's a pretty cool thing. The other thing is I just want to hear Emily talk about, like, I don't think that print is going anywhere. And I think that you see a lot of people pushing that narrative that like, it's not important, to have the print materials on site. Cause we'll see it like events at venues that we're at with clients, and you can tell that they didn't put any thought into any of the stuff that went out because they're just like trying to do the event, and man, it's rough. And like I feel like we're pretty like on it with clients to make sure that they look really good on site.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, she makes sure that the signs that the wayfinding looks right, that that if you're walking in and you're like wrapping pillars or doing whatever, or you've got schedules up, that stuff's in the right spot, that it looks right, that it's all that, so that when people walk in, this experience is an experience. And it's not just like, I got off the elevator, there's an arrow
Or
pointing
print
down
it
the,
out from the office printer of a one sheet
yeah, because
and know where to go.
the client spends so much time leading up to either the shoot or the event or the broadcast or the whatever. And then that execution day is the final day where you've got all these people in place. And if it doesn't look right when they're there, like what did you do all that work
I think
for?
it makes a huge difference in your event looking professional when everything is cohesive and matches your branding and matches the branding that you've done prior to the event. So when someone gets there on site, they know where to go because they see that look and feel and there's clear directionals, there's
Well,
clear schedules.
Yeah,
I
that
think
can't
that
be an
Emily and I
afterthought.
also kind of have a grasp on what's possible. Like when people are doing events, they may not realize like,
Mhm.
well, yeah, we should go a lot taller in this area, or a banner would be better up there because this is such a huge,
Or when they're
yeah,
trying to save
or like
money, we know what is going to be
now
less
that like
expensive.
with
Or
the video side in full swing and me sort of supporting that, I'm like looking at spaces and going, why don't we just do a huge projection on that wall and have something that moves around and, features sponsors or speakers or whatever we want, like why are we confining it to print? I mean, not to like downplay the importance of the print side, but it's just about the visual, experience that people
it's
have
true.
being there in person, and yeah, that stuff's fun. I like to go on site and, yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah, Trey, I know that I completely derailed this into like,
No, I loved it because
I mean,
you work with them more, and I'm in Houston, so I don't get to see you guys every day. I don't get to drink coffee
Missing
with
out on
you
that
or
coffee.
yeah.
pet your dogs.
Well, it's
I
just
know.
I feel like that the motion graphics for video and the added value that stuff added is pretty apparent to most people, right? Like if you see a produced video at the end of the day and like there's no animated intro sequence, there's no like cool graphics,
It does not
no
feel
supers,
complete. You
doesn't
have
feel
to have
complete.
that.
But everybody gets that. You see that, and that's almost a tangible thing where you go, oh, I got that. But where this stuff really shines is the stuff that people don't think about. It's almost an emotive thing. Like when we're doing the on-site broadcast stuff and you don't know why it's so awesome, but it's because they put the time and thought into making the space look awesome, to make the wayfinding look awesome, to make the schedules look awesome, to make the award ceremony brochure look awesome. All that stuff is awesome. And then people go, damn, that was a great event. Like,
Yeah.
somebody worked really hard on that. Well, that wasn't just because some event planner was like, hey, we're doing the event at this hotel on this date, and here's the food menu. And what it's because these guys did the walkthroughs. They were in the client meetings every week leading up to the event. They were putting designs in the folders for review. They were getting them reviewed. They were getting them checked off. That is the stuff that makes all the difference in the world. If you're doing events, event broadcasts, live stream from events, pitch day stuff, all that kind of thing, that's what I think really brings it together. And I think that is what makes us so unbelievably different from most production companies. So
Agreed.
I just am saying kudos to you guys because I probably don't say it.
He doesn't say thank you in real life, but on video, yes.
I'll only say it here, and then
I'll take it.
I'll pretend like I never said it once we get off this call.
Well, I think we got to wrap up. Anything else you guys want to say or talk about?
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for being on Office Hours.
Good time.
Just like regular Office Hours, I don't know how many people actually showed up, but I'm glad we recorded it. They can watch it later.
Yeah, dude, it's so good. It's good for people to see what's going on here, if nothing else.
All right. Well, I'm going to turn off this broadcast. So if you guys watch in the future, thanks for watching, getting to this point, and we'll see you next Friday.
Adios.
Peace.